I'd like to welcome you all to the June 20th West Des Moines City Council meeting. Please join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Council members, please sign in.
We have 5 members present, Your Honor.
Thank you, Ryan. Our esteemed mayor is out of town right now, so as Mayor Pro Tem, I'll be running the meeting this evening, and we certainly hope that he will return safely and swiftly so I don't have to do this again. All right, it's great to see so many people in the audience, and let's get going. Ryan, are there any changes to the agenda?
There are no changes, Your Honor.
All right, can we get a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved. Second.
All right, please vote.
5 yes.
Item 2 is Citizen Forum, which is the time for anyone in the audience or on the phone that would like to address the council on any items that are not under public hearings or new business. We'll let folks in the audience go first, and if you are on the phone, we'll get you in a couple of minutes, and I'll let you know when that happens. So for citizens in the audience, if you come forward, please give your name and your address for the record.
Good evening, Jack Hahn, 212 7th Street, and good evening to the council, and was going to say good evening to Russ, but he's not here.
Well, he'll probably see it next time. You can still see it. He'll probably review
He'll
it.
watch it.
How was everybody's weekend?
Really
Not
good.
bad.
Good?
Not bad at all.
Hope
Was
you
your
had a good
neighborhood
Father's
nice
Day.
and quiet?
Hope you had a good Father's Day.
No. Was your neighborhood good and quiet? Okay.
So.
We had to interrupt
Yeah.
Mr. Trevelyan to come down to Valley Junction on their music that they were having down there.
Okay.
So I'm curious as to, number one, why we would have that venue down there with that kind of music. Okay, because that's a bumping type music, not just a normal, like we would have on Farmers Market night. Okay, and not only that, but you guys approved it till 11 o'clock at night. And we have people that gets up at 4:30 in the morning in our neighborhood and has to be to work at 6 o'clock. So as we were doing some communications on Facebook about the noise going on and some things like that, we had obviously some people that were pretty excited about it going on because they're a little younger and like that kind of stuff going on in their neighborhood, or not necessarily in their neighborhood, but going there. Anyway, you know, it kind of ruins the quality of your life when people can't put their kids to bed. You can't take your dog outside because when it starts booming that bass, they run back to the house. Could there be another location that we would do this? Now, I understand they want the venue there because you got bars and stuff there too, you know, which brings up another point. When you get drunk enough that you have to puke in a trash can on a corner on 5th Street, you don't want people seeing that, okay? We don't, as a city, having that going on, being overserved on a function like that. Anyway, that's my concern. Could you please take a look at a different venue for that? If young people want to have fun, that's great. We all did it in our age, got out there and did it. But, right down there on 5th Street, where you could hear it all the way to 10th and 11th Street, okay? I would encourage you to go on Facebook and get a lot of the readings of people's comments, both pro and con, okay? There were some people, I got called Karen because I didn't like the event going on, some things like that. But I think we need to be very, very careful some of the things we're putting on. Mr. Trevelyan got called out of his nice, quiet evening at home so that he could come down and see what was going on. And I wish the city council could have stopped down and saw what was going on. It was way too loud, way too loud. Anytime you can sit inside your living room with your TV on and hear that and feel that concussion that goes on with the bass, ridiculous. So please take a look at it.
And to expand on what Jack said, yes, I did go down there, and I do have a audio, actually video and audio, that I'm going to play so everybody can hear how loud it was. Now, I talked about it last year, and I talked about it this year. It does not belong in Valley Junction. If that's the case, then maybe we need to take it out to Russ's neighborhood. I think he's got an acre lot. Maybe that'll accommodate everybody, but just take a listen.
Kevin?
And it went on and on and on. And that's a block away. I received complaints from, I think it was the 600 block of 12th. And I can't imagine the people in the 100 block of 4th Street. So again, we either need to move it to the amphitheater, which I don't even think that's a good fit for it. Actually, I think something like this belongs either at Valor Ballroom or Woolies downtown. I don't think, unless you're going to put it out in the middle of the country someplace, that it belongs anywhere in West Des Moines. So we need to address this for next year. It doesn't belong down there.
Jack, thank you for your comment. Councilman Trevelyan, thank you for your comment as well. And let's continue. Just be sure to state your name and your address, please.
Sure. Keith Atchison, 1609 Southeast Army Post Road. I have a concern here, and thanks a lot for letting me talk about my issue. It has to do with proposed bike trail coming south from the Athene Bridge project. I'm sure everybody knows about that, the Blue Heron Lake. So it comes right straight south through a native oak savanna, which is about at least 350 years old. By the way, the Parks and Recs just went to a solid line rather than a dotted line there. So I've walked that property several times, and that happens to be comes through my neighbor's property and cuts a corner of my property, which I bought more than 6 decades ago for privacy, discharging firearms, hunting, and I actually raised my family there. So it cuts across my property and takes the eastbound on Army Post Road in front of my property and others to hook up with the Great Western Trail up there just by Veterans Parkway. So last week I went to the Parks and Recs folks, and I pitched my concern, and they were very polite and informative, and they kept telling me why we wouldn't do that because it's development issue, and if there's no development, and they would never push over a 350-year-old oak tree. But then I said, well, why is it there? So I got no feedback that they should take that out. So my plan B, which I pitched the folks, was to come across Raccoon River. I hope everybody knows where I am, right? Okay, so come across the south part of Raccoon River, go eastbound towards 63rd Street, go to 63rd Street south and hook up to the Great Western Trail, which is right at Veterans Parkway. You know, plan B, or cut through Brownswood, which already has some trail issues there, cut through Brownswood and still the hook up there at Veterans Parkway. So I don't know what can be done about it. They weren't really interested in offering any plan B or change in that, but I continued with my but we have 250 miles of bike trail in Des Moines Metro, yeah, too. So I'm going, hey, you know, this might be based on desire, not need. So I'm telling them, I don't think we need another bike trail, especially through an oak savanna that's 350 years old. And by the way, did I mention, if they push down through there with the backhoes and caterpillars, there's 30 to 50 oak trees that they're going to have to take out. It just doesn't make any sense. It's ill-conceived, and I don't know what to do about it, so that's why I'm standing here in front of y'all.
All right. Thank you so much, Keith. I was wondering, Sally, could you maybe speak a couple words and share with us a little bit more about what's happening in this particular area where the bridge is going to go across?
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Keith, for sharing.
Okay.
Sally Ortges, Director of Parks and Recreation. Yes, Mr. Atchison did come to the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board meeting last Thursday night, where they were taking action on updates to the Master Parks Plan and the Master Trails Plan in preparation for the upcoming approval of the city's comp plan. So those two documents are approved with that as kind of supplemental plans. The trail that Mr. Atchison mentions is part of our Trails Master Plan. It is at a master plan level, just like, the Ultimate Streets Plan would be, just like our Parks Plan is, where we show these things on a map and show what we feel is, a good trail alignment to provide that connection within our trail network, knowing that things may adjust here and there as we get closer to actually building the trail. I think we mentioned at that meeting that so much of this is development driven. So, the trails often come after the houses and the streets. We work with developers to get greenways that make sense with their development, and that's where the trails are installed. And so the trail as it is shown on that master plan also comes down the property line, so it does not cross Mr. Atchison's property as it's shown today on that master plan. Again, just, at that kind of high level, we know we need a connection from Walnut Woods State Park and where the trail is coming out to Walnut Woods Drive. We need that connection someday to get connected up to the Great Western Trail. But it would be our plan that it would be with a willing landowner, and not through any kind of taking property and coming through with bulldozers and taking down large oak trees, for sure.
So, Sally, at this time, it would be safe to say that looks like it's about 4,000 feet between Walnut Woods Drive and Army Post. There hasn't been an
probably about right.
intensive study done on the trees and their age in that line because it's such a high level
Right.
view right now.
Right.
But when there would be a trail potentially coming, along with the development that you speak, there would be really, really intensive studies on what trees would be maybe ones to avoid in a trail system.
Yes.
And things like that.
Absolutely.
So we're still quite a few years away from anything like this happening.
We have several hurdles that we would have to get over
Of course.
before we would be building a trail, including, like I said, having a willing landowner to work with, and potentially even, a whole development plan for that area.
All right. Thank you so much, Sally.
Sally, has there been any consideration, though, to Mr. Atchison's point, that is there an alternate route that could be used for the trail? Or is this the only way it can get there?
We have alternate routes already shown. So one would be to the west along a future street. So it could be done through a side path trail.
Okay.
But again, that's going to take a street. It's going to take, development to occur.
But
we-
either one's going to take development to occur, you
Yes,
said. So
yes, that's correct. And we also looked at taking the trail to the east along the river once it gets across. There, we're running into some pretty major topographical issues. We also have private property owners that own right up to the river. So, and then Browns Woods does not allow bikes in Browns Woods. So that would also be an obstacle. So yes, we have looked at, and we have, some alternate routes that we'll be looking at as things happen down there.
Okay.
Thank you, Sally. Appreciate it. Thank you for your comments, Keith. Let us continue with Citizen Forum.
Nate Hahn, 216 7th Street. I just kind of wanted to follow up on our conversation from 2 weeks ago Monday and see kind of where we're at with that petition that was brought forward. Haven't heard anything back from the city on it. Just curious where we're at in the steps, process, what you guys need help with moving forward.
I can't speak to exactly where we are with the petition. Tom?
Petition on which?
500 block of, or 5th Street.
No, we haven't yet. We had this development meeting this morning. We're talking about, other issues that relate to that. We'll have to follow up on the petition.
Okay, do we got a rough time frame? Just out of curiosity. We talking 2
I don't
weeks,
know.
4 weeks?
I'll have to get back with where that goes. I'm not sure, Dick. After the petition, we bring it back here, or?
Well, I think it's still down, Clyde, you're kind of directing that, aren't you? To be honest with you. For the transition period, are you still evaluating that at the steering committee, or has that been recommended to the full council?
It sounds like at this time, Nate, you're just looking for an update on to see where we are on this.
Yeah.
And so I would just
It's
say,
premature to bring it back now. I mean, right now,
I just want an
let's just make
update.
sure that Nate stays in the loop and he's communicated with as this continues, right?
Yeah, we'll make them well
Let's
aware.
let Clyde respond.
Sure.
I'm sorry, Clyde Evans, Community and Economic Development Director. I wasn't paying full attention. Was Nate referring to the petition the one gentleman filed about converting the the commercial area to single family? It was my impression that was going to be discussed as part of the overall historic West Des Moines master plan when that came forward. If I'm incorrect in that, I'm sorry, but I don't know if there was any specific direction given to staff at that last meeting about what to do with that.
My impression that the petition is going to be a continued part of the conversation, but is that your sentiments as well up here?
Yeah, I was remote last week, so I don't know if there were conversations or 2 weeks ago, but I thought it was part of, I'll say, the packet of materials that'll be considered as part of that evaluation process. I don't know where we're at in that evaluation process. I don't sit on the steering committee, but I think that that's part of a global conversation. I also think that, to the extent we're exploring zoning changes and we're going through a comprehensive planning process, if we're going to be changing zoning, it ought to be part of a comprehensive package as opposed to a piecemeal kind of do something here, do something there, do something in Valley Junction. So I don't know where that stands, but I do know that, there's obviously a lot of work happening on the comp plan and the steering committee.
And if there's a lot of work happening, I think, and Nate, hearing what you're saying, as long as city staff is aware, let's continue to loop everybody in at the progress that's being made as a part of this big effort that's happening right now. So, and in the coming months. So, thank you, Nate. Appreciate that. Are there any comments from folks who are in the house tonight? Is there anybody on the phone? Please dial *6, not #6, *6 if you would like to speak and you are on the phone during Citizen Forum. Please do so now. All right, hearing none, that concludes our Citizen Forum, and we move on to 3 Mayor, Council, Manager reports and other entities updates, and we will start with a presentation. We are incredibly fortunate and pleased to have Jenny Buchanan from Bank, Iowa here, and to present a check for the Historic Valley Junction Fund for improvements down there. So let's see if we can get a photo. Yeah, right up here. This would be great. Come on down, Mr. Buchanan. incredibly grateful. Appreciate it. Again, as a reminder, it's just been incredible to see an outpouring of support for really improving Valley Junction from entities, financial institutions, Polk County, among others. So I want to again thank Bank Iowa and Jenny for stopping by. And again, we really, really appreciate their support in making West Des Moines, specifically our historical part of West Des Moines, continually greater in the 21st century. So again, thank you so much, Jenny. Thank you so much, Bank Iowa. All right. So we move on to Mayor, City Council, City Manager reports, and we will start with Councilman Lotz.
Nothing to report, Your Honor.
Councilman Trevelyan.
Nothing this time.
Councilwoman Hardman.
Yeah, thank you. I would like to, first of all, say happy Juneteenth. It is a holiday, one that I definitely celebrate, and others. Obviously, it's a federal holiday, so want to acknowledge that as well, and the significance, historical meaning of Juneteenth. We did pass the proclamation, so I won't reiterate that, other than, it really is a day of reflection for many folks that feel that, we have to continue to ensure that, fight for struggles and our freedom, and it's just a sense of community and resiliency over the years. So I'd encourage anyone that doesn't know about what this federal holiday is all about to read about it. There's tons of information about it. I would like to congratulate West Des Moines again for its first inaugural Juneteenth celebration. It was hugely successful. Lots of people came out for it. I want to thank Audrey Kennis and her committee for really doing so much to make sure that it was impactful. There were a number of city employees that came out. I do appreciate Tom Haddon and his leadership, and Dick also on the dais, both came out to partake in the event. Councilman was there as well, so I appreciate that. And I heard nothing but good things from citizens about us taking the lead and having an inaugural Juneteenth event. It can only get better and bigger, and it is an opportunity for us to remind folks that we are a welcoming city here. And again, I was very, very pleased with the city of West Des Moines and the work that was put out for that event. I was happy to read the proclamation and happy to participate on a panel discussion about what this holiday means for the community at large. So kudos, kudos, kudos. And Tom, please make sure you share that with Audrey Kennis and her committee. She really deserves lots of recognition for her hard effort in that event.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Councilman McKinney.
Yep. Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. And Renee, just thank you for your leadership in that event, and Tom and everybody on behalf of the city and serving on the panel. I apologize I was unable to be there at a speaking engagement, but
Yeah.
I heard it was a great gathering.
Thank you.
Just a couple items for the benefit of colleagues on the council and those that are listening. This morning we had a development and planning meeting and we held in here just because there were a few more folks that participated in this meeting than some of the other ones. So Councilwoman Hardman and I heard a couple different items. The first related to a Valley Junction demolition ordinance. We've all talked about the design guidelines and criteria that went through the steering committee that we adopted here. We continued, as you all know, roughly a month ago, the demolition moratorium for purposes of the continued evaluation of properties in historic Valley Junction to determine if there are any additional properties that need to be identified beyond those that have already been identified. And today's conversation related to whether or not the city should have an ordinance related to demolition. Other cities do. We heard about the city of Des Moines, city of Dubuque, city of Ames, and so there was some conversation this morning about whether or not that's something the city should explore. The direction that council or the subcommittee gave this morning was we didn't have materials really to review. So what we said is it's too premature to make a decision on that. And so we're going to seek some additional information and likely have a workshop for the full council here to consider this concept of a demolition ordinance in that area. So it was a good and I think productive conversation. Second one related to the property at Phoenix down there in the Valley Junction area, and some property that the city owns, a couple different parcels there, and a question of whether or not the city should seek to sell those parcels for purposes of developing workforce housing in the area, and whether it should be single family or multifamily or the prospect there. And so, again, subcommittee, heard feedback. The feedback we heard was that it'd be the type of housing that would fit there. There were a couple comments about single-family housing, a couple comments about multifamily, but I think at the end of the day, there was no opposition to exploring housing in that area. And so, again, that's going to be something I think that would come to the full council. This was just a 2-member subcommittee, but for full council for further evaluation. And let's see. So those are a couple things that were on the agenda this morning. Just a quick item I think everybody should know relative to Bravo's work. 2/7 of our hotel motel taxes go to Bravo. This last week, Bravo awarded 3 different grants, cultural enrichment grants to organizations based in West Des Moines. And Ballet Des Moines received a $100,000 grant from Bravo. Of course, that's based here in West Des Moines. The Iowa Asian Alliance was $64,000, and the West Des Moines Historical Society was $28,000. And so those got all announced last Thursday. So I think some good progress, and it's important that the community know what their taxpayer hotel motel dollars going into. So that's all I have at this time, Mayor.
Matt, I got a question on your report.
Yeah.
You're talking about a demolition ordinance. I thought what residents had asked about was a historic preservation ordinance, not necessarily a demolition ordinance.
The item on the I don't know maybe what citizens you were referring to, or if something formal was submitted, but the item that was on the calendar this morning was a ordinance, or it was a item related to demolition ordinance.
When I sent an email to Clyde asking what item 2 meant with the demolition moratorium, he had indicated to me that the title was incorrect or something to that effect. So I think we need to look into that a little bit more.
Okay, I do know that the title, as I read it this morning, I was corrected because it said I think demolition moratorium,
Right.
As opposed to demolition ordinance.
But I don't think that's even accurate. But anyways, and the other is the Phoenix schools. You talked about the city owns land. What land does the city own? I thought the only thing we owned was what's now the Phoenix Commons down there, the green space on the east side of the Phoenix property. And Community Housing Initiative owns the empty lots on the east side of 7th, or the west side of that whole development. So which parcels are you talking about?
It was described this morning as parcels B and C. It's on the northeast corner of the property there, so that'd be the corner of 6th and Locust, and then the southeast corner at Walnut and 6th. There were 2 parcels that were identified.
So we're talking about selling off the land that we got as parkland. Is that correct?
I don't know if
Why isn't CHI developing the land they've got? Why would the city sell anything when the residents worked hard to get that as green space and keep it as a mini park down there?
this one here, this one here.
I mean, this is ridiculous.
Yeah, Clyde, thank you.
Clyde Evans, Community and Economic Development Director. At the last steering committee meeting, we had a member of the steering committee raise the question, why was the city sitting on vacant property on that site? The Mayor Trimble then told staff to bring that forward to the Development and Planning Subcommittee to discuss. The comments that were directed to, hey, we have potentially 3 lots on the south side, 3 lots on the north side. In terms of the open space discussion, Park and Rec had done a study of where we have open space in the area, because that was one of the comments that was made at the steering committee meeting. Park and Rec had previously looked at that and determined that that area is probably better served by open space than probably any other neighborhood in the city, with Wilson Park and with American Legion Park within walking distance, as well as Holiday Park. And so all that information was presented to the steering committee. And the steering committee's, correct me if I'm incorrect here, but steering committee's recommendation was then to bring that to the full council for discussion at a later date as to whether or not we want to go forward with looking at developing any of that property there. So that's going to be a topic of a future council discussion.
Okay.
Kevin, does that
It's
provide some
ridiculous. Huh?
Does that provide a little clarification for you?
Well, not exactly, but
All right. Matt, anything else at
No,
this point?
that covers it. Thank you, Greg.
And I would like to acknowledge that, while not everyone will agree what needs to happen there are also some other voices that said they want some additional resources there for maybe affordable housing and whatnot. So there are a plethora of people that have different opinions and ideas, and we as a council need to listen to all ideas and debate and discuss and come up with the best decision that we possibly can make. So ridiculous or otherwise that we might want to call it, this is what this process is about, is to hear a variety of opinions and thoughts and make the decision based on what is going to happen. So I think this is fair discussion, and I think that it is open for a lot of views, and that is what we're here on this dais to do.
we had that discussion when Phoenix property was sold.
It's a new day and a new time.
To that end, Councilwoman, I appreciate what you said there. And for those who are listening in the audience and who are listening on the phone and maybe dialed in, please continue as we talk about solutions for all parts of our city. Please reach out to us. Continue to reach out to us, even if we're not technically in your ward. Like, for example, Councilman Lotes is in Ward 3. I'm in Ward 2, which is not precisely in the Valley Junction area, but I'm sure we would both be happy to hear from you too. And just continue to reach out as we want to hear.
And I just want to say, it may stay the same, who knows?
Oh, yeah.
But we should still hear and discuss options.
Yeah, this was purely a subcommittee meeting where the idea was brought forward, and you know, obviously it's just the two of us there. We're not making decisions, but we said, hey, we need to have a bigger conversation about this with the full council, and that was the direction and I think general conversation of what happened this morning.
Absolutely.
All right, before I continue with my comments really quick, Ryan, is it star 6? There's been someone waiting on hold on the phone for a little bit, and I would like to give them the opportunity to speak, but they've been trying to dial star 6, right?
Yep.
And if you are on the phone and for some reason the system is not working, one, I apologize. Number two, we would very much like to hear from you, because this is the time and the place for all residents to make their voices heard, certainly. But number three, I don't know what the technological issue is right now. So if you are, I know just Dick got an email from a resident trying to speak, and the star 6 is not working right now. So, Ryan, is there any tech problems that we can see at all right now, or is there anything
Not
that
that
we
I'm
might?
aware of. I don't know if the guys in the booth can see if someone's trying to unmute.
Just to see. Everything looks okay over there? Is there anybody online, not online, but over the phone, that wants to try one more time to dial star 6? Certainly wouldn't want to deprive anyone of their opportunity to speak. And if it's not working, you can always maybe hang up, call back in, and try again. If first you don't succeed, try again, as the old saying goes.
Can can they chat it in, or if there's something, I don't know, if somebody can type it in if there's a specific question?
Well, I think I have the email too. I have the phone number. I'll forward it to the guys in the booth. If they see that number, then they can they can unmute the person directly from in there.
Right.
Maybe save a step there.
Yeah, if,
So I just forwarded that to both those guys in there if they can check
excellent.
their email.
Gentlemen in the booth, if you hear and get a hold of somebody, just let us know somehow, and we would be happy to hear from a resident who didn't get into the public forum because of technical difficulties. So we'll wait for that. As for my comments, I apologize. I was gone 2 weeks ago. We were out of town, but I think about this new federal holiday that we have today that Councilwoman Hardman spoke about. I mean, the year was 1865, and the United States of America amended the Constitution with the 13th Amendment to officially end slavery, and yet the word didn't get down to Texas for a couple more months, and thus this Juneteenth holiday was born. But certainly I just wanted to recognize that this is the federal holiday. Wanted to give just huge amounts of props to Audrey and the Human Rights Commission and all the team that put together an excellent Juneteenth event. I was out of town, as I said, but I heard it was fantastic. So just wanted to speak very positively about that, and that will conclude my remarks. Tom, any comments?
Just a little follow-up on this morning's meeting. The preservation district was discussed, and I think it was going to be part of possibly additional work by a consultant to look at that area and how big an area it would be and what that would consist of. So that was also discussed this morning. Also want to bring up July 4th coming up. We're going to have there's a parade, and we have a July 4th fireworks display here. And we also putting out a public service announcement, kind of like Jack Hahn was talking about. There's a time for 9/11 for loud music. Well, starting now, we have issues with, it's illegal in the city of West Des Moines to do the large explosives that are now available for sale in the state of Iowa. And just to make this clear, there's a lot of people with issues, health issues. They may have cancer. They may be all kinds of work. They're trying to get some sleep, and their kids and their pets and everything else. And so the trouble is, we never know what's going to happen. People could go up 3 in the morning, throw up a giant explosion, wakes up hundreds of people, impacts hundreds of people. They can't keep it on their own property because it doesn't work like that. But we got to count on people to be the lookout for their neighbor, and not it could start fires, causes injuries. It's a lot of things that happen. That's why this was put in place in this city. So we'll get that out there. The fire department did a nice job just clearly explaining the situation, and and if you see that and people see it and they see a long display going off, they'll call it in. So anyway, that's my report. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Tom. Item number 4 is the consent agenda. Does any council member want to pull any items tonight?
Yes, 4K, 4K1.
4K1. All right. Does any other council member wish to pull any items from the consent agenda tonight? All right. Hearing none, I will entertain a motion for the remainder.
So move.
Second.
All right. Please vote.
5 yes.
All right. With most of the consent agenda approved, we will move on to 4K1. Councilman McKinney?
Thank you, Greg. This is an item I've abstained on throughout the duration of this project. It relates to the digital enterprise conduit. Abstain for a potential conflict.
All right. Thank you for your abstention. And I'll move. Somebody want to move for 4K1?
So move.
Second.
All right. Please vote.
4 yes, 1 abstention due to potential conflict of interest.
All right. On to item 5, old business. 5A, First Street redevelopment, southwest corner of First Street and Grand Avenue. Amend the planned unit development, PUD, to modify wall sign requirements for buildings less than 1,000 square feet. First Street Limited Partnership. I will entertain a motion for consideration of the second reading.
Move consideration of the second reading.
Second.
All right. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, please vote.
Five yes, an ordinance amending the city code of the city of West Des Moines, Iowa, 2019, in ordinance numbers 2122, 2135, 2184, 2263, and 2436 pertaining to plan unit development, district regulations, and guidelines.
Move approval of the second reading.
Second.
Please vote.
Five yes.
Move to waive the third reading and adopt in final form.
Second.
Please vote.
Five yes.
All right, moving on to 5B, 1700 Vine Street and 1710 Grand Avenue, amend the zoning map to establish neighborhood commercial land use and zoning, K&E Limited Partnership. Can we get a movement to consider the second reading?
Movement to consider second reading. Motion.
Second.
All right, any discussion on 5B? Hearing none, please vote.
Five yes, an ordinance amending the official zoning map of the city of West Des Moines, Iowa, 2019 by amending Title IX zoning, Chapter 4 zoning districts and maps.
Motion approved second reading.
Second.
Please vote.
Five yes.
Motion approved third reading and adopt.
Motion to waive the third reading and adopt in final form?
Yes.
Please vote, or do I hear a second? Sorry.
Second.
Second.
Please vote.
Five yes.
All right, thank you. 5C, Holiday Park, 1701 Railroad Avenue, vacate 19,625 square feet of right-of-way, including an excess of approximately 450 feet of public alleys and 107 feet of Maple Street, located near the intersection of Maple Street and 14th Street, city initiated. Do we have a motion?
Move consideration of the second reading.
Second.
Second.
Please vote.
Five yes, an ordinance of the city of West Des Moines, Iowa, vacating as public right-of-way a portion of Maple Street.
Move approval of the second reading.
Second. Please vote.
Five yes.
Move to waive the third reading and adopt in final form.
Second. Please vote.
Five yes.
I was told by Ryan earlier that I could technically second a vote, but hasn't happened too much. In any case, we're moving on to 5D, Amendment to City Code Title IX Zoning, Chapter 6 Commercial Office Industrial Zoning District, and Chapter 15 Off-Street Parking and Loading, modify the zoning district regulations related to SIC 7832, movie picture theaters, except drive-in, Tall Grass Theater Company. Do I have a motion to consider the second reading?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion at all? Please vote.
Five yes, an ordinance amending the city code of the city of West Des Moines, Iowa, Title IX zoning, Chapter 6 Commercial Office and Industrial Zoning District, and Chapter 15 Off-Street Parking and Loading to modify parking regulations for motion pictures.
Move approval of the second reading.
Second.
Please vote.
Five yes.
Move approval of the third reading and adopt in final form.
Second.
Please vote.
Five yes.
All right. Moving on to 5E, Amendment to City Code, Title 7, Public Ways and Property, Chapter 12, Library Regulations, Section 2, Rules and Regulation, Behavior of Library Patrons, the Library Board of Trustees. Do I have a motion to consider the second reading?
Move consideration of second reading.
Second.
Do we have any discussion? Please vote.
Five yes, an ordinance amending the city code of the city of West Des Moines, Iowa, 2019 by amending Title 7 Public Ways and Property, Chapter 12 Library Regulations.
Move approval of second reading.
Second.
Please vote.
Five yes.
Move the waiver of third reading and adopt in final form.
Second.
Please vote.
Five yes.
5F on old business, amendment to City Code Title IV, Health and Safety Regulations, Chapter 8B, Stormwater Fees and Charges, modification of fees and charges, city initiated. Do I have a motion to consider the second reading?
Motion to consider second reading.
Second.
Do we have any discussion? Hearing none, please vote.
5 yes, an ordinance amending the City Code of the City of West Des Moines, Iowa by amending Title IV, Chapter 8B pertaining to stormwater management charges.
Move approval, second reading.
Second.
Please vote.
5 yes.
Move approval, waive the third reading and adopt in final form.
Second.
Please vote.
5 yes.
All right, that concludes old business as we move to item number 6, public hearings. For 6A, we have a staff-initiated continuation of a public hearing to July 5th, 2022. Do we have a motion to move that to the next one?
So move.
Second.
All right, please vote.
5 yes.
All right, on to 6, excuse me, on to 6B. Here we go. This is the time and place for a public hearing to consider amendment to City Code Title IX zoning, Chapter 6, Commercial Office and Industrial Zoning District, modify regulations pertaining to allowed zoning districts for fireworks sales initiated by the City of West Des Moines. Ryan, would you please read the date the notice was published?
June 3rd, 2022 in the Des Moines Register.
Have we received any written comments to this hearing?
The Planning and Zoning Commission, by a vote of 5 yes, 2 were absent, adopted a resolution recommending approval of the ordinance amendment.
All right, now is the time and place for public comment. And if you would like to come to the dais, and please state your name and address for the record. On item 6B. All right, hearing none, I will declare the public hearing closed. And for this particular one, do I have a motion to consider the first reading?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Do we have any discussion?
I'll just say this came before Development Planning here on June 6th, and the conversation, I believe this all related to some state law changes that are requiring us to make some changes here, and conversation with city legal about, the understanding that what we're doing here is to bring our existing ordinances into compliance with the new state law.
Mm-hmm. Any other comments? Then I will take a motion for approving the first reading.
So moved.
Second.
Well, we had done the motion on consideration, now we need to vote on.
Oh, we haven't done
That
that,
one.
sorry. So let's vote on the consideration. Thank you, Ryan.
There you go.
Please vote.
5 yes, an ordinance amending the City Code of the City of West Des Moines, Iowa, 2019, Title IX zoning, Chapter 6, Commercial Office and Industrial Zoning District pertaining to allowed zoning districts for fireworks sales.
Move approval of the first reading.
Second. Please vote.
5 yes.
All right, because of the nature of this, we have the opportunity to waive the second and third reading, but we need to waive that, and we need to make a motion. Do I have a motion to waive the normal rules using Section 36, is it?
Motion to waive the normal rules using Section 36.
Mm-hmm.
Rules 36.
Yeah, I think it's 36. Yeah. Second. Any discussion?
If I could just ask, we're doing this, Dick, is this so we can meet some deadline, or why suspend the rule?
So it goes into effect right away. They're going to start selling fireworks, so they already are. So we're just trying to bring it into compliance with the state code.
Oh, okay, all right, thank you.
So this is because of state actions, we have to pretty much catch up with.
Right.
And we need to do this hurriedly here because, as it turns out, the next meeting is on July 5th, which is less helpful for fireworks purposes.
Right, and it was a short duration between
Yes.
when they passed it and when it, we have to put it into effect, so.
Of course, thank you for the clarification. All right, so we are now voting on whether to waive the rules, and then we will adopt in final form for a fourth vote here in a second. But for the third vote, please vote on waiving Section 36.
5 yes.
All right. And I'll entertain a motion to waive the second and third reading and adopt in final form.
Move to approve, I'm sorry, move to waive the third reading. No, I guess, this is consideration of the second reading?
No, I will, for a waiver of the second and third reading and adopting in final form. That would be the motion.
Okay, then I would, this is the first time we've done this.
It is.
Move to waive the second and the third readings and adopt in final form.
Second. Please vote. Mayor Trimble just had to be gone tonight.
5 yes.
All right. Thank you very much for helping me through that, Ryan, and everybody. Appreciate it. All right. We are moving on to 6C. Get my paper ready to go. 6C, this is the time and the place for a public hearing to consider amendment to City Code Title II, Boards and Commissions, Title IX Zoning, and Title X Subdivision Regulations to modify or remove inaccurate indications of Planning and Zoning Commission decisions and appeal authority of the development-related applications and matters initiated by the City of West Des Moines. Ryan, would you please read the date the notice was published?
June 3rd, 2022 in the Des Moines Register.
Have we received any written comments to this hearing?
The Planning and Zoning Commission, by a vote of 5 yes, 2 are absent, adopted a resolution recommending approval of the ordinance amendment.
All right, as I said earlier, this is a time and place for the public hearing, and if you want to approach the dais, and please give your name and address for the record, if you would like to speak on item 6C specifically right now. Hearing none, I will declare the public hearing closed, and, pardon me, I will consider a motion to consider the first reading.
So move.
Second.
All right, any discussion on this item 6C?
I do have a few questions. Lynn, could you come up?
Doug, you have some questions?
I do.
By all
I was
means.
waiting for Lynn to announce herself.
Oh, right.
So, two quick questions. Does this in any way, under current ordinances and governance in the city, is there any way for a citizen to appeal a planning and zoning recommendation today?
Not a planning and zoning recommendation, because it is just that, a recommendation. You can appeal a decision, but not the recommendation.
Okay, so today, so then this would have no impact on a citizen's ability to appeal a planning and zoning recommendation because they are not allowed to today, okay? Second question is, because of that, then we are not removing any individual's ability to appeal any of those changes, correct?
The changes in the ordinance, all appeals of development matters would go to the Board of Adjustment.
So we have not changed, we're cleaning up prior stuff, we're not changing.
Right. Yes. It's always been our practice that any kind of appeals should go to the Board of Adjustment. It's been our practice that the P&Z, up until they used to approve or have decision authority over grading plans.
Yep.
But that was the only item that they had final decision on. So this is a cleanup. When we took that away and gave it really over to engineering services,
Yep.
that authority came away. These are just kind of cleanups that we're still speaking to decisions that they used to make.
Good, and that reflects my reading of the material in the packet, so thank you for clarifying that and affirming what my thoughts were. Thank you.
Lynn, before you step away, there were obviously there's a lot of changes here kind of over a course of several pages. And I just want to verify that the changes that we're proposing here is to reflect, I'll say, at least in my mind, current practices. We're not making any material changes that have changed anything over the last, say, 15, 20 years.
Correct. This is really just clarifying what we've been doing all along. So this
Okay.
does not change what the practice is today.
All right, thank you.
So it would be safe to say the language has had some ambiguities, but the practice and actions of the city have not had that ambiguity.
At least in my 20 years here, this is how we've been operating, is what is reflected in here. I know Dick might have some thoughts on this.
Well, I was just going to say, a lot of this was kind of an ad hoc amendments to the code where things got thrown in there bit by bit. And as Lynn said, the Plan and Zoning Commission has never had, there's never been an appeal procedure from the Plan and Zoning Commission. Technically, the Plan Commission isn't a necessary body of the city. It's an advisory body. The Zoning Commission is a necessary body. They have to review everything before it can be heard by the city council. But the city council is a final arbiter, if you will, of the decisions, and therefore anything that comes from the Plan and Zoning Commission to the city council is not in final form. It's not appealable until the city council makes a decision. So this is just kind of taking out some of those areas where there was numerous boards mentioned, one of which was the Plan and Zoning Commission, and it shouldn't probably been in there at that time. And as Lynn notes, we used to have grading plans that went to Plan and Zoning Commission, and so there was a process related to that. But state code basically says the director of Development Services, any decision made by that person should go to the Board of Adjustment. And the Board of Adjustment is a judicial body, more so to speak, where they maintain, you can't speak to them. They're a quasi-judicial body. And so everything should go to them. And if there's a decision that they make and the applicant or the appellant doesn't like that decision, it doesn't go to the city council. It then goes to the district court. So this is just a big cleanup process, and it's been kind of fuzzy and murky throughout. So that's what this does.
So Lynn, it would be safe to say once the grading was kind of taken away from P&Z Commission never makes decisions. They issue recommendations.
They make recommendations,
Yes,
correct?
they make. So this cleans up the language. All right. Any other questions for Lynn while she is up here?
None, thank you, Lynn.
Thank you, Lynn. All right. Any other discussion from the council? All right. Please vote.
Five yes, an ordinance amending the city code of the city of West Des Moines, Iowa, 2019, Title II Boards and Commissions, Title IX Zoning, and Title 10 Subdivision Regulations pertaining to the Planning and Zoning Commission authority over development applications and appeals.
Do we have a motion to approve the first reading?
So moved.
Second. Please vote.
Five yes.
All right. Item 6D, staff recommends we continue the public hearing to July 5th, 2022. Do we have a motion for that?
So move.
Second. Please vote.
Five yes.
All right, moving on to 6E. Let's see, this is the time and the place for a public hearing to consider Community Development Block Grant Program, amended 2021-22 annual action plan initiated by the city of West Des Moines. Ryan, would you please read the date the notice was published?
June 10th, 2022, in the Des Moines Register.
Have you received any written comments to this hearing?
None, Your Honor.
All right, this is the time and place for a public hearing, so if you would like to please speak to item 6E, please join us on the dais, and please give your name and address for the record. Seeing and hearing nothing, I will declare the public hearing closed. And for 6E, we have this resolution, so do we have a motion?
So moved. Second.
All right. Any discussion about 6E? Hearing none, please vote.
Five yes.
All right. We ready for 6F, the last public hearing? Let's do this. All right. 6F. This is the time and the place for a public hearing to consider Community Development Block Grant Program 22-23 Annual Action Plan initiated by the City of West Des Moines. Ryan, would you please read the date the notice was published?
June 10th, 2022, in the Des Moines Register.
Have you received any written comments to this hearing?
None, Your Honor.
All right. So since this is the time and the place for a public hearing, if you have any public comments, please approach the dais and state your name and address, and we would be happy to hear from you. Hearing none, I will declare the public hearing closed. What we have is a resolution for the approval of the action plan. Do we have a motion to approve it?
So move.
Second.
All right, any discussion on 6F? Hearing none, let's vote.
Five yes.
All right, moving on from number 6 to number 7, new business. We start with 7A. Jordan Ridge, the northwest corner of South Jordan Creek Parkway in Boonville Lot. Approval of a preliminary plot to create 28 single-family lots, 8 outlots and 4 street lots. High Point Group LLC and Jordan Ridge LLC. Let's see, sorry, I lost. There we go. Is there any, can we get a motion to consider the resolution and pass it?
So move.
Second.
All right, and now, is there any discussion about 7A? I got ahead of myself a little bit, my apologies.
It's all right, moving along.
Moving along. All right, hearing no discussion about 7A, let's go ahead and vote. We've had the motion in the second, let's vote for 7A.
5 yes.
All right, 7B, 485 South 19th Street, approval of a site plan to allow construction of a 2-story duplex building, Silo 9, Plot 1, LLC. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All right, do we have discussion on 7B?
This came through development planning earlier this year, and there were no issues at that point.
All right, please vote.
5 yes.
All right, item 7C, Della Vita Townhomes, Plot 5, northeast corner of EP True Parkway and Wendover Lane. Approval of a site plan to allow construction of attached and detached townhomes, Della Vita LLC. Do we have a motion for approval?
Motion.
Second. Do we have any discussion on 7C? All right, seeing none, please vote.
5 yes.
All right, on to 7D, Fountain Terrace Apartment, 655 South 88th Street. Approval of a site plan to allow construction of a 146-unit apartment complex, Fountain Terrace Apartments LLC. Do we have a motion to approve?
So move.
Second.
Do we have any discussion on 7D? Seeing none, please vote.
5 yes.
All right, moving on to 7E, Dowling Catholic High School, 1400 Buffalo Road. Approval of a major modification to allow construction of a 4,800 square foot bus facility, Dowling College. Do we have a motion to approve the resolution?
Motion to approve.
Second. Do we have any discussion on 7E? Hearing none, please vote.
Five yes.
I believe I have some end of the class period, but I have to get through World War I energy going on, so we're moving along. 7F, Redevelopment Incentive Programs, Property Improvement Fund and Regulatory Compliance Fund, City Initiated. Do we have a motion for approval?
So move.
Second. Do we have any discussion on 7F? Hearing none, please vote.
Have you done auctioneer work in the past?
My dad was an auctioneer.
Yeah, I think you need to do it again.
5 yes.
All right, our final new business item, which is 7G, interfund loan between the general fund and the Westcom 911 Service Fund City Initiative. I will make a motion to approve. Do we have a second? Perfect. Do we have any discussion on 7G? Hearing none, please vote.
Five yes.
All right, moving on to item 8, receive, file, and/or refer. We have one thing we are receiving, which is a resignation from the Human Rights Commission. Andrew, thank you so much for your service. And as we get to number 9, are there any other matters that any council member would like to speak to tonight?
Yeah, as a liaison to the Human Rights Commission, I'd just like to thank Drew for service to the commission, and wish that it would have lasted longer, but happy that got an opportunity to work together.
Of course. Any other comments from any council member? All right, we are adjourned.
Well done, Greg.
Well, we will let Russ know you run a mean meeting.